Hello, everybody. Welcome to Shooting the Itch.
Well, hello. Hello.
What's going on with you guys?
You know, same thing, different day.
What's that mean?
Well, I could use the same shit, different day, but, you know, this is supposed to be a clean version.
Did you see Bad Grandpa?
I wanted to see it. I wanted to, but things got in the way.
What's so important that you have going on?
What's so important? Looking for a job to complement my regularly scheduled job.
Wow.
Haven't you been looking for another job for like 6 years now?
Yeah, I know. I guess I'm just a sucker for being hungry. What can I say?
Wow. Oh, I thought you were going to start a scam, as we talked about last week.
No. The scam was already started. I just wanted to shine a light on a particular scam. That's basically it.
I was thinking a lot about, our conversation last week with scams and all of that.
Yeah, man.
And it got me to thinking,
we can pull it off.
You know, if, sure, but it got me to thinking, if the scam or whatever it is, the business opportunity takes more time, if it takes more time to explain why it is not a scam and then why it is a scam, then it very well likely may be scam-y.
Oh, right.
I knew a buddy of mine, nice guy. He came from another country. He got involved in one of these. It's let's just say they sell supplements.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And he was always saying about how great it was and how great these supplements were, and how he takes them because you buy in because they tell you, if you're serious you'll buy in. So when really you think you're the producer or the seller, you're actually the consumer in a lot of cases with these things. And I saw his health after taking these pills go down drastically.
You gotta be kidding.
How?
He just did not look well. His skin color was kind of changing.
He looked emaciated. He looked like gaunt, like skinnier than before.
Yeah. He was like, I feel great, and I'm like, you don't look great, and I don't think you feel great either. You should probably stop getting involved with that stuff. And he's like, no, it's the best. You should invest with me. And I'm like, no, I'm okay, thanks.
He probably wasn't eating.
I'm good with my gut. I'm going to go with my gut, literally and figuratively. That's what you said to yourself, right?
Yeah. I'm no one to give health advice, but this was an extreme situation.
Yeah, the last thing you need is health advice from Karen Carpenter. I mean, that's an effed up joke, but you get the gist.
I have no clue what you're saying. So you didn't see Bad Grandpa. What were you watching today? What were you watching?
I was watching Drunken City with Mark Wahlberg and Russell Crowe. And it's all right. You know what? To me, I can't see why it would get like theatrical distribution, but then again, I understand that, Mark Wahlberg is a big star, so I kind of get it, but it seemed like a dramatic piece that would be perfect for television. You know what I mean? There was nothing really cinematic about it except maybe shots of New York City. That was about it, but in terms of
I actually saw it the other day as well for the first time.
Right.
And I thought it absolutely sucked.
Wow.
It was so bad.
In terms of how it was all cleaned up, in terms of how the situation was resolved, it was to me it played like a Lifetime movie.
No, I mean, as a movie in general, first off, Russell Crowe was the mayor. Apparently from New York. He sounded like he was from Boston.
Right. I thought that
first and foremost.
Wow.
I guess he was born and raised in New York. He sounded clearly Bostonian.
Right.
That's besides the gripes that I have myself with Russell Crowe. Mark Wahlberg is Mark Wahlberg. I mean,
right,
he plays himself in every movie, which works. Sometimes it's cool, and sometimes it's Mark Wahlberg.
Right.
A lot of the times when you're watching a movie, you're like, all right, cool, I'm getting into this, and his other movies are like, oh shit, that's Marky Mark.
Marky Mark. Did you guys see the Russell Crowe trailer for that leaked Noah's Ark?
No. No. How bad does it look?
It didn't look very entertaining.
They're having issues with that movie?
Yeah, it's like
understanding?
Yeah, some major issues.
Well, they're having creative differences. You know, Aronofsky and I don't know which production company is involved. Is either Paramount?
Yeah, it's Paramount, I believe.
Why can't they let the guy do his fucking job, man?
Because he wants to maintain creative control over the final edit, I suppose. But Paramount's moving in and saying, "Hey, this thing's like $130 million budget. We're gonna say if we think it's not so good, we're gonna cut it up."
I mean, come on, Paramount. I mean, in my opinion, Paramount should know better in terms of like, you know, this guy's reputation. You know, he's not going to take any of their corporate bullshit. You know, lying down. You know what I'm saying? You know, he's always been that maverick for going on over a decade now. You know what I'm saying? With Requiem for a Dream and The Wrestler and other films that has in his filmography. You know, they're very unconventional, and he does not play it safe if you're taking a look at his filmography. So they should have known better.
Yeah, I mean,
if they wanted to go a safe route, they should have just hired McGee.
Yeah, they made a Bible. They had Aronofsky come in for a Bible flick.
Yeah, I know. They shouldn't. Come on.
I mean, and if they wanted to turn to be gritty, that's exactly the guy. I mean, look, he's had a number of hits, fantastic movies. You're going to hire the guy, you know what it comes with. Let him handle it. Let him take care of it. It's going to be good, even if it's not exactly what they want. It's going to be good, and people are going to see it. Right. Just because he's at the helm. That's how good he is.
Right. In addition to having, you know, I mean, I don't know how big of a draw Russell Crowe is now, but, you know, I mean, the last thing he did was Man of Steel. That, you know, still, but that was because of the franchise itself. You know, the fact that he was a part of that is the reason why that made.
I actually liked him in that.
He was good in the small role that he had. You know, I thought he was better than Brando, and that's saying a lot.
All right, so in terms of Bad Grandpa, Brian, since you haven't seen it, let me describe a couple things about it to you.
Please.
The movie could just be called Antagonizing Black People because of the fact that I guess Johnny Knoxville figured out that if you get a large group of black people in a room and freak them out, you will get more dramatic and drastic results than otherwise. What's that?
And I'm assuming, and this took place in some funeral scene or something like that. It was a funeral home.
There was a couple scenes. Okay, so the main scene from the trailer that I guess sold the movie was the stripping scene with the little kid. It's pretty disturbing if you think about it. That there was a whole film crew invested in producing this. Actually, that whole scene was almost cut for cut, the exact thing in the trailer, and it was like the climax of the movie, so that was a little bit of a letdown that, you know, you were waiting for something big at the end and you had already seen it because it was in the trailer.
It's unfortunate. You know, and it was still funny, and imagine how funny that would have been if we had no idea it was coming. That would have made it 10 times better. Funny. Oh, yeah, of course.
I don't know why, but it reminds me of like going back a couple of years with Borat. You know, like that scene where they're running around, you know, naked. They saved that shit for, you know, for the film. They didn't put that in the trailer, and I thought that was like the funniest. Yeah, that was the funniest.
Carrie's the Carrie also came out like a week or two ago, and that kind of had the opposite effect. That showed the ending in the trailer, and I don't think anyone went to see it.
Right.
Well, it's a remake, so everybody knows how it ends.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I mean, I had a friend, you know, a friend of mine, you know, he's a teacher, and he was asking people what they thought about the trailer. He's like, yeah, it looks fake, you know, and, you know, it's ridiculous to see, like, this little girl, like, you know, using her powers and all that kind of stuff, and, you know, having things floating around, whereas in the original, you know, she's using her powers, but she doesn't quite understand it. And it adds to the mystery,
right?
And, you know, adds to the viewing. viewing experience because you're going on that, weird journey with her. Whereas with this, it's just, it's as he would call it, goo. CGI goo, smoke and mirrors where, people is like, all right, we've seen this before. Like, what are you trying to tell us?
Right, yeah.
All right.
In terms of Borat, though, I mean, Borat, I guess, is still the king of this genre that is prank movies that also have a narrative forced in, like Bruno and now Bad Grandpa.
I really appreciated that, though, because I don't know, I didn't really know what to expect, but I really appreciated that there was a little story happening there. Because I was hoping that it wasn't just a bunch of pranks, because after, it would have got boring after the first half hour.
Right.
The story is the kid's mother is some sort of a crackhead.
Right.
And she has to go back to jail. So the kid gets dumped with his grandpa, who wants to get laid because his wife just died.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But now he has to take his grandson across the country, similar to Borat, across the country to get his father, who his father is like a dirtbag. So that was the little story. It didn't really matter if the story was that tight or not. It was just something to hold the movie together. In terms of scenes, because it was mostly moments, there was times I was laughing hysterically, and then other times where it was like, oh, this is not that good of a, it was a prank movie. It was what it was.
Yeah.
Right.
They can't all be Borat. That'll go down as the best one.
Mm-hmm. This was good, though. This was good.
Yeah, it was good. There was a couple of ridiculous scenes. One with one where Johnny Knoxville, dressed as the old man, knocks over his wife's casket in front of a choir that he had hired to, sing at the funeral.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the choir starts freaking out because the old woman's on the floor. So in the heat of the moment, Johnny Knoxville tells the choir, no, you know what? This will be better if we all sing. Please, everyone start singing. So with the most afraid-looking faces, the choir starts in unison singing a gospel song.
All black choir.
And they're singing while they're freaked out at the same time. It's that scene, I've never seen anything like that. And that was worth the price of admission.
Yeah, but right before that, Johnny Knoxville, the grandfather character is giving the eulogy, and he says he's upset that his daughter and his grandson couldn't make it. Then all of a sudden, the crackhead daughter and the grandson come in the middle of the eulogy. So she asks him to step outside so they can discuss something. So the kid stays inside, but they go outside, and Grandpa is still holding the microphone. So they're basically talking about how she's going to jail and she doesn't want the kid and she has to get him to the father while everybody inside is listening.
Yeah, everyone's talking about how they don't want the kid, and now the people in the choir start hugging the kid.
Yeah.
Consoling the kid.
Right.
That's really good.
I think it's interesting that same kid and Knoxville worked on a previous film together, and that they are now working on. They have this film out. They worked on an indie flick called Fun Size. It's not really low budget. I mean, it has some name stars in there.
Yeah, that kid's great at talking trash. I mean, how young is he?
He does that in the previous film, Fun Size. With this actress named Victoria Justice, and she's like, her and her friends basically have like a wild night on Halloween night, and the little kid in Bad Grandpa, he plays her little brother who gets into all types of hijinks, dressed up as a 3-armed Spider-Man and all that jazz.
Yeah, that little kid's kind of replacing Sean William Scott's little buddy from Role Models. Remember that kid?
Yeah.
He got a couple little gigs after that. He got an Xbox commercial and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
But in terms of other crazy scenes, as the old man, he goes to a all black male strip club. So male strippers, female clientele. Mm-hmm. And he starts walking around telling the strippers, all right, you get these girls all hot and I'm going to move in for the kill. But keep in mind, he looks like an 80-year-old man. So he starts flirting with every girl he could find in there. Mm-hmm. And then I don't know how much I should give away.
Go for it.
If no one wants to hear the spoilers, skip ahead 30 seconds. As the stripper, who's completely muscular, is stripping, Johnny Knoxville, as the old man, goes into the middle of the stripping floor, pulls his pants down, and has a prosthetic nutsack that is a foot long hanging out of his pants. The whole crowd scatters in fear and runs, and he starts chasing people and jumping over chairs and chasing them with the nuts swinging around. The stripper turns around and gets freaked out and runs.
It's really good. But this grandpa character developed. Well, those of you who don't know about Jackass, because I guess this is Jackass Presents Bad Grandpa, right? Is that what it's officially?
Yeah, that's what it's dubbed.
Yeah, well, Jackass. Believe it or not, guys, Jackass made its debut on MTV.
2001.
2000.
2000.
In 2000, it had 3 seasons.
Oh yeah, it was the era of young male aggression.
Yeah, it was perfect. Because when that came out, I wanted to do all the stuff that they were doing, crashing shopping carts, running into garbage cans.
You know what cracks me up? I think your acting teacher worked with Knoxville. When Knoxville presented him with the idea, and everybody on the crew at that time, everybody was saying that he was nuts. And then, like within this is like 1999 or something like that. Mm-hmm. And in a short period of time, he was on the cover of Rolling Stone. So.
Well, yeah. Well, I know a friend of mine worked on Jackass 2 for the stunts because he's like a set designer and whatnot. And he was behind the big hand that smashed Bam Margera. That was his idea. That one.
So how did it happen? Cool. They were CKY and then Knoxville just came and was the ringleader, or how did it?
Basically there was a magazine called Big Brother magazine that was all like skateboards and stuff like that. So like Chris Pontius, Party Boy, this other guy Rick Cossack, and the producer Jeff Tremaine worked on that magazine.
Okay.
So then they started putting videos up of Johnny Knoxville, of skateboarding and stuff like that. Then Johnny Knoxville had an idea to tape himself being, hit with stun guns and BB guns and all that kind of stuff. If you remember the early Jackass, it was him just hitting himself with self-defense devices. So Jeff Tremaine, the producer, saw that and invited him and the members of CKY, which were Bam Margera's people in Westchester, Pennsylvania. So basically, that started developing into Jackass because they started pitching it to different networks, and actually Saturday Night Live wanted them as a weekly skit.
Really?
But, yeah, but they turned it down.
That would have been a lot different than the tame version of Saturday Night Live that has always existed, or at least for the last 15 years.
Right. Yeah, they turned it down, and there was actually a bidding war between Comedy Central and MTV for Jackass. And MTV eventually won.
Well, even after they split up, it kind of seemed like 3 different crews. Bam went on to do, Bam and that crew, the CKY, I guess, crew went on to do, what was that, Life with Bam or something?
Viva La Bam.
Viva La Bam.
There was a bunch of other shows that became different, like Wild Boys.
Wild Boys was with Steve-O and Party Boy, and then I guess Knoxville just went to do movies.
Yeah,
basically.
Pretty much, yeah. There was the series ended in 2001. There was 3 seasons of it. Knoxville afterwards went to be in movies like Walking Tall, one of the Charlie's Angels sequels, Dukes of Hazzard, Men in Black 2, The Ringer, Big Trouble, The Last Stand. He did a lot.
Oh, yeah.
He did a lot of that stuff. And then afterwards, the guys from the Bam crew, they did Viva La Bam, and then that turned into like Bam's Big Wedding. And then it was crazy. There was a Jackass video game in production. So it was a huge thing.
Juggernaut.
They would have got in trouble for that video game, I think.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what the deal was, but they did the movie.
I guess it would have been like Tony Hawk on acid, basically.
Something like that.
Right.
But
I think it's interesting. Yeah. No, I just think it's interesting that there was a bidding war between Comedy Central and MTV, considering that they're both owned by Viacom, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah.
Time Warner Cable. No, Time Warner.
you get knocked down, you gotta get back up.
So basically, they did the movie as like a final hurrah for the Jackass crew. And then when Wild Boys started getting popular with Steve-O and Chris Pontius, on one of the seasons, Johnny Knoxville joined in, and they started getting a little bit crazier. So the producer was also Jeff Tremaine on that one. So he's like, hey, you know, why don't we make another movie? So at that point, the timing worked, and everybody was finishing their respective shows, and they got together and did a number 2.
Right, and that number 2 has a lot in common with this one, in that it felt like there was a lot cut out of it.
And there was.
Yeah.
There was, because a lot of it included Bam's uncle, Don Vito, who was very funny. But he got in trouble for apparently harassing an underage girl, something like that.
He was at a signing and he exposed himself to a 12-year-old.
Was it? Is that what
Just
happened?
being crazy drunk in Don Vito. He like pulled his pants down, and then they basically gave him a very hard penalty for him to swallow, which was 10 years on no TV. And in the courtroom, he actually was he was calling the arresting officer a bitch in the courtroom. But also when they delivered the verdict of 10 years no on TV, he threw himself down on the floor in the courtroom and said something like, "My life is over." He said, "Kill me now." He threw himself like completely backflop like Garfield onto the floor and said, "Kill me."
I want to see the court sketch on that.
Yeah, well, when Bam had a wedding show on Viva La Bam, and he was in attendance because it really was a wedding, but they had to completely shoot the show around him. He could not appear on camera.
It's a shame because he was funny, man.
And yeah, I remember Jackass 2 being like, something's missing, something's wrong here. It doesn't. There was a lot more planned. I know it. And then I found out, all those skits with him had to go.
Yeah, they weren't allowed to use it.
The third one, it didn't seem like, and Bad Grandpa also had some stuff cut, which we'll get to in a minute. But Jackass 3 was, well, obviously they were capitalizing on the 3D gimmick, but other than that, that was the one where no one wanted to be there. Everyone's kind of there for the cash out.
Yeah, you could tell nobody wanted to actually do it anymore, but they took the payday, which you can't really blame them.
Yeah, but you could tell especially Bam was so over it.
Mm-hmm.
It was to the point where whenever they pulled a serious prank on him, he was like, "I'm done with this shit. I don't even want to be here."
Because he was making tons of money on his own at that point.
Right.
He didn't need Jackass anymore. He used Jackass as the initial springboard because he might have been perceived as a bitch, but he was very smart.
Well, he was a pro skater and all of that. You know, he was making money with that stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know if he was like a competitive pro, but he was famous enough to show up at those events and skate around, and people would like to see him.
I think he was sponsored at one point.
Right.
Yeah.
And Lord knows how much he was making off of those appearances alone. Jeez. Can only imagine.
Oh, a lot of money. A lot of money.
Exactly.
So
he had a Lamborghini, for Christ's sake.
I guess this is their first movie since Jackass 3. Or, I guess this is Johnny Knoxville's first Jackass. This is the first Jackass thing since Jackass 3.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Actually, the last thing he did, Knoxville, was that Schwarzenegger from The Last Stand. If I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff. He was in something with The Rock. He kind of...
Walking Tall.
Yeah, he kind of appears randomly as like a character in movies. He always sticks out when you're like, oh, Johnny Knoxville's in that?
You're right, exactly.
Yeah. You know, he's funny. I don't think he's a great actor, but it depends. He was good as the grandfather. There were some moments in the movie where you were like, oh shit, he's actually good. Yeah, and a lot of people like him too. He's very likable, from what I've seen. Especially, when they showed the credits, when they showed him revealing himself to people, and they were like, "Oh, it's Johnny Knoxville." Right. But I've heard stories like that about him before. That well-liked guy. He actually has to pee. I don't know if it's still the case, but it got to one point where he had hurt himself in the nuts and the groin area so bad with burning himself and hurting himself that he actually had to pee through like a colostomy bag for a while there. Something like a catheter.
Yeah. That's terrible.
I think that might have been from the bull.
Yeah, he got speared by a bull in the groin.
Oh, jeez.
This movie was a lot safer. But during the credits, they showed that Johnny Knoxville was also dressed up as a grandmother character, which they had started the movie with the grandmother being dead.
No, that was Spike Jonze.
Oh, okay.
Spike Jonze.
But they basically, it looks like there was someone in character as a grandma enough of the time.
Yeah, Spike Jonze was Spike Jonze played that character in the show as well. A few times when the grandpa character was originated.
Yeah.
So I guess they wanted to use some grandma stuff in the movie, but it didn't make the cut.
Well, because when the movie started, she had just died. Now, did they shoot stuff before that, or were they were they doing flashbacks? Because they also did one random flashback prank in the movie, but that was it. So it was kind of like it felt like they were going to do a couple of those and they didn't. Maybe she was in the flashbacks. But it was pretty funny. There was a couple other scenes, Brian, you should check, one of which is kind of ridiculous, where they stage a father being abusive to his child in the middle of a biker rally of bikers called Guardians of the Children. So it was a little tense, to where one of the bikers grabbed the father character and said, "I am the angel of death." Look.
Yeah.
He grabs one. He grabs one of the fathers.
He grabs the father who was playing the abusive father, and they were about to rough him up, it looked like.
Right.
There was also a scene where Johnny Knoxville had contracted people to come move his furniture, but made them move his dead wife into the trunk, and then told them, "Thank you for helping me commit this crime."
Yeah, and when they were walking away, the little kid said, "Oh, thanks for the crime."
There was a lot of stuff, and it's worth seeing, and just because of people's reactions to all of these crazy situations.
Right. I can imagine.
It was cool. What about CKY was a band too, George, right?
Yeah, CKY was a band. I was actually a big fan of theirs. But the thing is, CKY, it was called the CKY Crew, Camp Kill Yourself Crew.
Yeah.
And the band was technically a separate entity from the
okay, so it was like
the stunt group,
different people.
That was
their
Bam's
band.
brother.
That was their band, basically.
Yeah, it was Bam's brother. That was the CKY lead guy.
Yeah, so the band would play they would play the band's songs over the original pranks.
Yeah, like one of the popular songs they actually used in Jackass was it's called 96 Quite Bitter Beings. It's pretty good. I was a fan, and once I started familiarizing myself with the band, I liked their music. Not everything, but they have a good 6 to 8 songs that are pretty nice to listen to.
Yeah, this is the type this is the type of music you'd hear in those original Tony Hawk games.
Yeah, exactly. Before they started getting crazy. But overall, I don't know if they ever took off. They were influenced very much by the Icelandic heavy death metal type of stuff.
Yeah, that's not a big market in this country, unfortunately.
No. And this is not as heavy as that kind of stuff, not really. Some of their songs are, but the ones that hit mainstream are not, obviously.
Very thrash, sounds like.
Yeah.
It makes you wanna take a shopping cart and run into a curb. I guess, I don't know.
Speak for yourself. Huh?
Yeah, that's dangerous. Well, remember back in school when they would have the big garbage cans in the cafeteria, and they would be on those little platforms with wheels so you could roll them around?
Yeah.
So my friends and I ditched English class one time, and we went down into the cafeteria, and we lined up all the garbage cans like bowling pins, and we removed the platforms from them. So we sat one of my friends on it from the other side of the cafeteria, about 4 of us, grabbed my friend, put him on he volunteered actually. Put him on the wheels, and then we thrusted him straight across the cafeteria, and he crashed into the garbage cans like bowling pins. He actually went through one of the trash cans, and it broke. And then when the janitor came and found us, we all got detention for doing that.
Yeah, because it's like such a weird time in life, because if you're a creative person who's a guy going through puberty, you need to release aggression, but if you do so in creative ways, you will still get in trouble, as it usually leads to destructive things. And God knows how many times these guys got arrested doing the show.
I wonder. That's a good question. But they would probably just run away before the cops would ever come.
Quick question: Which film was it or episode was it when Knoxville and Bam Margera took rubber bullets? They were shot with rubber bullets, and like Bam was crying, and Knoxville was like, "Hey, is my face all right? You know, if it's good, then let's move on."
Yeah, Knoxville had ultimate balls. He he wasn't coordinated. He couldn't do the skateboard stuff. They would still hook him up to like rollerblades with rockets, but the end result was that he would fall and the rocket fire would just hit him in the ass.
Yeah, he didn't care. Like the pain kind of, I think, was an adrenaline rush for him.
All right. No, but I do have respect for him for doing stuff like that most people would not even dare to do.
They should have put Mick Foley in this sort of stunt movies. Let him fall off a roof or something.
Yeah, and on a sad note, actually, one of the cast members, the original Jackass cast members, Ryan Dunn, tragically, because anything like this is a tragedy, crashed his Porsche in Pennsylvania in 2011 and died. And I think the passenger he was with also died. But basically, he was drunk and speeding. And if you see pictures of the crash, you can't tell what car it was unless you know cars and you can see the rim. You can't see.
Wow.
You don't know it's a Porsche.
How fast do you think it was going? Like 80 or plus?
80. He was doing like $130, 40, easy.
Wow.
Yeah. Easy. Was doing well over 100 for that to happen. He went off on an embankment, and the only piece of the car that was still together was one rim.
Wow. He was probably one of the coolest, chillest guys on the show, too.
Yeah, he had, it seemed to me that he had a little more brains than the rest. But then again, who am I to say? I didn't know them.
Right, so basically the car looked like debris in the end.
Yeah, it looked like it went to a junkyard and it was smashed into smithereens. I've never seen anything like that, to be honest with you.
All right, well, that was Bad Grandpa. Go check it out. It's funny. It's worth seeing. If you're with a group of people and you want to laugh out loud and feel uncomfortable, that was it.
Definitely go with the group. You're absolutely right.
Right.
Can we talk real quick about? Did you guys see that thing with Russell Brand?
Yeah.
Yes, I saw a few days ago. Yes, I did.
So Russell Brand was on some show on the BBC, and he basically said he's tired of the current political structure, and he's not going to vote, and he doesn't think anyone should vote for things that will ultimately screw them either way in the end from being a quote-unquote poor person.
Yeah, he had a lot of different ideas. He was interviewed by this British guy. Who is this? Bill Paxman? Who I'm not sure.
Paxman.
Jeremy Paxman. I guess he's a reporter in Britain. I don't know this guy, to be honest with you. He has a very good voice, though. But I do have a few clips. From this. The first clip here is about Russell Brand explaining why he doesn't vote.
No alternative. There's no alternative.
No, I'm not
Just
saying that. I'm saying if you can't be asked to vote, why should we be asked to listen to your political point of view?
You don't have to listen to my political point of view, but it's not that I'm not voting out of apathy. I'm not voting out of absolute indifference and weariness and exhaustion from the lies, treachery, deceit of the political class that has been going on for generations now, and which has now reached fever pitch where we have a disenfranchised, disillusioned, despondent underclass that are not being represented by that political system. So voting for it is tacit complicity with that system, and that's not something I'm offering up.
Why?
Wow, he's got a lot of big words. When he talks, I just
fast.
picture the Mad Hatter from Alice in Wonderland.
Jesus Christ.
Well, I guess when they're going to do a revamped version of Batman, he'll be in the running. Unfortunately.
Well, I can relate to that personally because I've never voted. I never planned on voting.
You've never voted?
Nope.
Wow.
Because you might.
A couple of years ago, I would have been shocked, but it doesn't surprise me. So.
Yeah, I think that might be a trend. Less and less people voting.
Yeah, right. He actually brings up at one point in the interview, the Paxman tells him, how can we do this, blah blah blah, this and that, the revolution. He's talking about a revolution, which I have a clip of and I will play next. But his idea is to...
I don't see him getting on the front lines of any physical revolution at any point, Russell Brand, but...
No, but he explains also that he's just an actor and he's just bringing up these ideas. He's in no way, shape, or form ready to lead a revolution, but he thinks it's about time. But he
makes it a point within that interview saying that he's not trying to say... He's not trying to put his name into that, like a political hat by any stretch of the imagination either. So he's just pointing out.
And I think he was also referencing, which he made an interesting point. He goes, whenever someone comes out of the woodwork and says these things which are a little bit out of the box, you jump on them. But why aren't you, as a political analyst, jumping on these big money politicians?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Why aren't you jumping, if this is your everyday job, why aren't you on an everyday basis jumping on these problems which occur every day, and why do you need to debunk me?
Right.
Exactly.
It was interesting that you're right. I guess, I mean, in the reporter's defense or the interviewer's defense, he's just playing devil's advocate. He just wants to know where Russell was going with it.
Right.
But at the same time, I mean, for the majority who has watched that interview, they're probably wondering why hasn't he gone after these big wig big time politicians and all that kind of stuff. Why not? And get their perspective as to why they do what they do. That's another thing that would be fascinating to watch if they could get a hold of them for the most part.
Do you have any more clips of that, George?
Yeah, I have him talking about the revolution right here, actually.
The revolution.
Oh, God. It will not be time for us.
I'm not having a go at you because you want a revolution. Many people want a revolution, but I'm asking you what it will be like.
Well, I think what it won't be like is a huge disparity between rich and poor, where 300 Americans have the same amount of wealth as the 85 million poorest Americans, where there's an exploited and underserved underclass that are being continually ignored, where welfare is slashed while Cameron and Osborne go to court to defend the rights of bankers to continue receiving their bonuses. That's all I'm saying.
What's the scheme? That's all I'm asking. What's the scheme? You talk vaguely about revolution. What is it?
I think a socialist egalitarian system based on the massive redistribution of wealth, heavy taxation of corporations, and massive responsibility for energy companies and any companies exploiting the environment. I think they should be. I think the very concept of profit should be hugely reduced. David Cameron says profit isn't a dirty word. I say profit is a filthy word, because wherever there is profit, there is also deficit. And this system currently doesn't address these ideas. And so why would anyone vote for it? Why would anyone be interested?
Who would levy?
Right, and luckily Russell Brand is smart enough to keep up with the reporter, because these guys will debunk anything you say ever.
Yeah, absolutely. And he used to be a heroin addict, and it's good to see somebody. He's always had some sort of a fame. He used to have a very popular radio show in the UK, and that's when he was also a heroin addict. So he was a functioning dope head, which is very rare. Yeah, junkie. Because he was on, along the lines of Artie Lang, I'd say, of former Howard Stern fame, but he used to sleep on there, as opposed to Russell Brand doing the exact opposite.
Yeah, hey, he got with Katy Perry. You got to be skilled to do that.
Yeah, good for him. That's a.
And now it's that douchebag John Mayer, who's no kidding. I don't know the guy, but John Mayer's not that nice.
Don't be jealous of the mayor.
Didn't one time John Mayer break up with John Mayer broke up with Jennifer Aniston once, claiming she doesn't understand social media? Is that really a reason to break up with Jennifer Aniston?
I don't know if that was technically a reason.
I heard some weird story like that. But no, I mean, the reporter does bring up one good issue. I don't know if you have a clip of it or not. He says, what you're saying is no one should vote, but you're suggesting a new society in which people have roles. But in this new society where people have roles, how would those people get voted into those roles?
Yeah, and the reporter's absolutely right. But as far as Russell Brand saying that nobody should vote, that would cause a change in the way things are run, because a democracy is based on people voting. Now, if nobody votes, they can't elect themselves, can they? Right.
Only a very small people margin. I mean, I wouldn't even say half the country votes. The numbers are low. The numbers are surprisingly low of who that can vote, does vote.
Well, when you have when you have somebody winning the popular vote and then doesn't get elected, it kind of discourages you to vote
from voting in future elections. Yeah,
and I guess
also the fact that you have these the right wingers, like they're like, for instance, the Tea Party members who are very radical and are willing to shut down the government just to get what they want. They're banking on the people who are despondent, who are poor, to not vote, because they're trying to appeal to their constituents who basically cater to them, who put them in office for the most part. So
yeah, it's I guess that's how big money and big politics and leads to quote unquote corruption or
That's just how they view. And, they're clueless for the most part.
I don't think that'll ever stop. It seems like every I think the founding fathers even said, I'm not trying to incite a riot or anything, but the founding fathers even said something along the lines of a revolution every couple hundred years is not a big deal, because naturally the system will spiral out of control with money and power.
Yeah, it's basically a necessity. It's a natural occurrence. But at the same time, when you're upset about all these people being where they are and being so successful and whatnot, I would assume a majority of the time they worked for it. But obviously those people, were given opportunities that the common man wouldn't have. So that I understand. But, you don't get to any of these places, positions of power or whatnot. Even Russell Brand, where he is. He's an actor, and everyone listens to this stuff. This is like the third rant he's done this month.
Yeah, is he just guilty about not being poor anymore or something?
So it takes.
I don't think so. I don't think it has anything to do with guilt. I think it's more like him trying to give back. He's trying to, at least find a way to give back and trying to wake people up. I mean, it sounds black and white.
That's cool with me. That's completely cool with me. But at the same time, you can't take away somebody's hard work and how they got to that point. Now, at some point, hard work turns into achievement, which if the achievements continually grow, sometimes that can turn into greed. And that's what's happening now. Wow. All these banks are greedy and whatnot. And there is a...
Well, it's true in business and capitalism, and even the scams conversation we were having last week is that, when... be responsible with business, because as you're gaining, someone else is losing, and there's just kind of like the ebb and flow of life.
Yeah.
For you to even use the term more, it is implicit to say that you have more than what? More than others? Yeah. Exactly. I understand people don't want socialism either.
Right. No. Well, I mean, the fear, in terms of the big fear when it comes to socialism, then it takes away people's will to strive to better themselves, which is what capitalism is really about. It's like you're investing in yourself to do certain things and all that kind of stuff. Whereas with socialism, it's like everybody has an equal opportunity, and you don't have to really put in much effort to scratch and survive, if you will.
Yeah, there's something about the American, I don't know what you'd call this spirit that wants to fight. There war is in our nature, I suppose.
Right.
So to compete with each other over even work is even something that happens.
Yeah.
I mean, and then when you're not valued for that, then you would, I guess, say, what's the point? I mean, whenever I work overtime, they take out every extra time and a half money I would get. My taxes, I get the same dollar amount anyway. So why would I do that?
Right.
I do it because I'm a workaholic, but I could understand someone getting very discouraged doing stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And which leads to Russell Brand saying how the time is now.
We're in a time where communication is instantaneous, and there are communities all over the world. The Occupy movement made a difference, even if only in that it introduced to the popular public lexicon the idea of the 1% versus the 99%. People for the first time in a generation are aware of massive corporate and economic exploitation. These things are not nonsense, and these subjects are not being addressed. No one's doing anything about tax havens. No one's doing anything about their political affiliations and financial affiliations of the Conservative Party. So until people start addressing things that are actually real, why wouldn't I be facetious? Why would I take it seriously? Why would I encourage a constituency of young people that are absolutely indifferent to vote?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next 15 years on this earth. Things are heating up.
Yeah, we're I don't want to say coming of age, but I guess becoming adults, or maybe we are adults at this point. Not generally speaking, but talking about the three of us here on the show. This is a moment in time where we haven't experienced. None of the previous generations that are around right now have gone through this really. Yeah, there was a Great Depression, but we were never able to understand that, because at that point, once our brains started to work like this, as far as being able to comprehend things, the people that went through the Great Depression were old. So we didn't meet at any point to discuss these things and really understand them. Now we're going through this sort of social and economic turmoil right now, and we don't know exactly what's going to happen, where it's going to go, or why. Because if the government didn't bail out all these banks and all these big companies several years ago, we would have been in another Great Depression, if you guys remember that. We would have been in huge trouble. But the government came in and bailed everybody out, so that wouldn't happen.
What are you going to do? Keep your money in the shoebox under the mattress or something?
Sounds like a great idea.
One thing that the Occupy movement in Santa Monica taught me is that those guys don't shower.
Yeah, the Zuccotti Park guys didn't shower either, I don't think.
Do you have any other clips of that, or?
No, that's pretty much it.
Okay, so in other news, Brett Favre has had some new trouble.
Right. Yeah, he's suffering short-term.
Is that funny to you? This funny that Bret Hart has trouble? Bret Hart.
No,
Bret Hart.
Bret Hart has trouble too.
Bret Hart has similar trouble.
No, I wasn't laughing at that. I just laughed every time Brett Favre's name is mentioned. Now I just laugh.
Why?
At this point, because the end of his career was a joke. It became a joke. The end of his career. So at this point, I just laugh.
Right. Well, I mean, there was recently in the news. It was at the Vikings. They were offering him a deal to come back to the team.
St. Louis, the Rams actually called
St.
him.
Louis. Yeah, sorry about that.
Because Sam Bradford, their current quarterback, suffered an ACL tear. So he's out for the season, and the Rams contacted him.
That's not fun.
No, he's done.
So what was the result of what happened?
He said, Brett Favre said no, and then he didn't remember that he said no.
Maybe he just didn't know who the Rams were.
I mean, the long-term memory is probably still there.
He thought they were in the Reno Football League.
Wait, so Chris, explain to us what's going on with Brett Favre, because I don't think you explained it right now. He's suffering what?
Well, here's what's going on with Brett Favre. He's apparently suffering from short-term memory loss, and it's at this point now he's 44 years old. And one of the episodes that he's had that he can't remember, like his daughter's, soccer practice and all that. And it would be a crushing blow to the NFL, in terms of the hard hits that he has taken and the reputation that they're trying to, maintain with the general public, and insisting that it's still safe to play football.
Well, clearly it's not. But okay.
Clearly it's not, right. But I mean, if you have one of the arguably the biggest stars of that, of that sport, suffer from, short-term memory loss, which from what I can predict, it's not going to get any better for him as he gets older, Yeah,
but what's the difference? We're going to ban boxing. We're going to ban football. The people like this. It makes money, and the athletes like playing it. I mean, look, some of these kids are street kids. They'd be killing each other in the streets if not for these sports.
That's true.
Good point. But I mean, then again, I guess you could say there's some blame to go in terms of his inner circle. There should have been somebody there who said, Brett, enough's enough. You've made your money. You don't have to play another season,
Well, he's like Peter Pan. Look how playful he is, even on the field. There was times where he would do very creative things that he did not need to do whatsoever, just to drag the defense along with him to milk a couple extra seconds of the guys chasing him. If he knew the play was dead, he'd run to the sideline to his coach to get the next play, but he'd do it during the play. So he'd make the defense chase him all the way to the sideline, he'd step out of bounds, and he'd immediately go talk to the coach and get the new play. He'd throw the ball upside down. He'd bounce around and do a million jukes and then get smashed hard.
Yeah, that's true.
It wasn't like he was doing like little slides and getting back to the huddle. He was doing reckless things. That's why people like him.
Right.
Oh yeah. So this short-term memory loss wasn't definitely was not developed now late in his career. This was going to happen regardless. He just played a few more years and had a few more hits. Now it's a possibility that the last couple of hits maybe initiated it, but it was going to happen. I mean, when you get concussions on a regular basis throughout your life, your brain is going to be destroyed when you're older.
Yeah, maybe he just got caught cheating again and he was playing dumb. Sorry, I don't remember anything that happened in the last 48 hours.
Too soon? Son of a bitch.
Like, I don't remember sending a picture of my junk in Levi's jeans.
Oh my god. Wow. So, I mean, Brett Favre is, I guess his career ended in a weird way, but he was one of the most beloved players. Certainly one of the most entertaining players of all time. And you're right. This would be a major blow to the NFL's their efforts of making grown muscle-bound men smash each other, I guess.
Right. That's true. Then I guess soccer moms would pretty much be advocating that the kids either play soccer or some, I don't know. What's it like? What's a sport? What's a sport that is considered safe? What, baseball? More baseball players?
Yeah, baseball, basketball. You're not
more basketball for the most part. Yeah,
like some crappy Long Island sport like lacrosse.
Lacrosse, yeah, right.
Lacrosse is actually fun. I've played it a few times. It is fun. But it's still lacrosse.
This is also the general public who are not in that sort of lifestyle deeming what should be happening to people who don't care. Like if someone has a bit of a warrior spirit and they don't care they want to get some aggression out and get it out now, they don't care. They don't care if you think they should wear a helmet. They don't care if you think MMA is bad. They're going to fucking do it. They're going to make some money and they're going to fist fight and smash and do whatever they want to do.
Isn't it hard? Isn't it amazing to remember that 30 years ago that boxing was like the number one sport where everybody knew who the number one heavyweight championship of the world was.
Yeah.
Now it's like.
Well, it's because it's out of the country. The Russians have that. We need to send Rocky in there to get that belt back.
I know. Right. I think he could. But at the same time...
But look, these guys are going to go outside the country and make money doing MMA and Muay Thai and all this fighting if we don't host this stuff here. At least the country's making some money. These guys are going to go to Southeast Asia where they don't give a crap.
Right. I don't think football's going to go the way of boxing because, it's not run by, cricket people like, Don King or anything like that.
No, it's run right now. Roger Goodell is a straight-up businessman. And he wants to get the most money out of the NFL, most, and they gross like $8 billion a year or some crazy amount like that. He wants to get the most money at whatever cost, even if it means dumbing down the game.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's so unfortunate.
Because the sponsors don't want to be involved with anything negative.
Right. Oh yeah, like for instance, that Jets Patriot game where they I didn't even know they had that rule where they could just call it like roughing the kick or something like that in overtime. What was the?
No, it was you can't push on a field goal. You can no longer push the player in front of you toward the kicker. To get through the offensive line, you can't push anybody through that anymore.
Wow.
Like back in the day, you used to get behind all the linemen, all the linebackers, and push them through. Can't do that anymore.
Right.
So you can't push someone on your own team, or you'll get a foul.
On a kick on a
no,
field
you just
goal.
get a flag. Yeah, flag. Yeah,
you get a flag. But that's how the Jets won, and that was the first time it's been called this year on a 56-yard field goal attempt in overtime.
What is that?
The first time it's been called.
What is that rule called? What would the announcement say? Like pushing the line or something?
I don't know.
It'd be like encroachment or something like that. No, not even encroachment.
I don't know why that's not allowed anymore. That doesn't make any sense to me. It's a new rule. that was enacted this year.
Right.
But I don't know why that would even make a difference.
Right.
And now, people are getting fined, safeties and whatnot are getting fined for, destroying receivers that come up the middle. Like that, as long as I've been watching football or anybody else, the receivers should know if you're going to cut through the middle, you better watch it.
Exactly.
Now all of a sudden, it's you can't hit the guy. Like, no, that's no man's land. Like, you want to cut through the middle, you're taking a big risk.
A risk. Right.
Hey, Justin gave us another football clip.
Yes.
Kind of a football clip. He's if you remember last we heard from him, he was upset that the Giants were still without a win, which has changed. They've gotten a win.
Yeah, they won in what was one of the ugliest Monday Night Football games I've ever seen against the Minnesota Vikings. But here's what Justin has to say this week.
What's up, guys? I want to talk about Mike Francesa. This guy's show has got to be one of the worst sports shows in the country. On Tuesday, the day after the Giants got their first win of the year, here I am thinking he'd spend the show on the Giants. And as soon as the show starts at 1 o'clock, there's Bobby Orr in studio. Are you kidding me? Bobby Orr. This guy hasn't played hockey in 30 years, number one. Number two, he never played for a New York team. Why is this guy even irrelevant during football season? If you want to have this asshole on, have him on in February and March when football season's over. I mean, come on. This guy's show sucks. There's days he spends an entire show talking about some book he read like he's Mother Goose. He is the absolute worst. I don't even know how this guy is so popular. His show sucks. Like today, he's spending a football Friday talking about A-Rod. Who cares about A-Rod today? Talk about A-Rod in spring training. Unbelievable, this fucking guy.
Football Friday.
That's a great rant. That was my favorite Justin rant so far.
I ain't gonna lie. He does have a point but the reality is, unfortunately, Francesca, it's his show. He's been doing it for, over 20 years.
Like 25
ESPN,
years.
25 years. ESPN, has done everything in their power to shake up their radio lineup, and they still can't beat him, for whatever reason.
What is he on? He's on the Yes Network, right?
He's on the Yes Network.
TV.
Yeah, he's on the Yes Network and 660.
Yeah,
FAN in New York.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So what is everyone's gripe with this Francesca?
It's Francesa, guys. The C is silent. It drives me crazy when people can't pronounce names right.
Francesa, yeah.
Francesa.
Right. It seems like your buddy, he reminds me of like an even angrier version of Mad Dog Russo, if you remember his sidekick.
that was a good team. Mike and the Mad Dog, and then he went to Sirius because he got a lot more money.
So why does no one like this guy?
Because he's very pompous. He's very pompous. His opinions are the only one that matter. He talks down to callers, and he's very dismissive of everything and everyone except for what he believes. Which he's doing a solo show. I guess you can't help but become that way if you don't have anyone to bounce off of. Right.
Especially and it doesn't help that he gets dumbass callers day in and day out. So I'm not saying all of them, but I'm just saying.
He's kind of got a big head, right?
He's a very large man.
I think when people have a large head, for some reason, other people don't like them.
Maybe, and that might be.
I'm trying to think back to all the other big-headed people I've known, and try to see if there's a constituents of people who hated them just because.
They have a big head.
Yeah, I think we should look into that. People you know in your life, if they have a big head.
Chase.
Yeah, if they have a big head. Do some people hate them for seemingly no reason?
Yeah, but what if you have a big head, but it's proportionate to your body? It doesn't appear big.
That's true. Maybe that Francesa stays big so that his big head won't be exposed.
Hey, it's exposed on the Yes Network, so it is what it is.
He's been solo for 7 years now, so that's why I guess he's become that way.
Speaking of people getting heat, Justin, who just left that clip for us, actually got some heat this week.
Yeah, and it's from a familiar
from Joe from Ronkonkoma, who previously tried to burn all of us on the show.
Yeah, he's an interesting. Let's see what he's got to say.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on the show. I think the show was great. Tell that Giants fan to simmer down. I'm a Mets Jets fan, long time fan, long time New York sports listener, and we got enough troubles as it is. We got 2 idiot owners on both those organizations.
Okay.
So until something changes from the top down, we haven't got a prayer. But the giant Yankee fans out there, especially this guy who's been calling up the show, I mean, take your goddamn championships and shut the hell up.
Oh my
All right,
God.
guys. Thanks a lot. Have a good night.
Wow. That was a long setup for a quick insult.
Yeah. That's Joe, all right.
Justin, Joe from Ronkonkoma calls you out.
He has a beef. He's got a legitimate beef with you, Justin.
But he also called all of us out too, so don't worry.
Yeah,
thanks everyone for the clips. That was a lot of fun. Check this out. I didn't know the World Series is going on.
Yeah, Game 3 is tonight. I think it actually just started.
Wow.
The series is tied 1-1, and it's St. Louis Cardinals versus the Boston Red Sox.
Interesting. Who are you rooting for?
I don't care. I just want to see it go 7 games and be a knockdown, drag-out series.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see.
Some good baseball.
Pretty much. There's football going on because it's football season as well. There was a lot of injuries last week. About 8 to 10 players suffered severe injuries, 4 of which had season-ending injuries, which was unfortunate. But the main thing right now is the World Series. But it's St. Louis Cardinal Nation and Boston Red Sox Nation, so it seems to be like the rest of the country is a little bit disconnected from it.
Brian, are you disconnected from this call?
I'm disconnected from this World Series I'm watching right now.
Who are you rooting for, Brian?
Neither team. I just want to see a good World Series. I mean, both franchises are storied franchises, and
right.
It looks like. I mean, it's interesting that in the new millennium that Boston, or new century, that Boston is carving out their own niche. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now the Cubs got to catch up to them.
Shit, I don't. Yeah.
Imagine the next century, the Cubs win every World Series.
The Mets have a better chance of winning a World Series than the Cubs do.
Oh yeah, definitely. It actually reminds me of was that Back to the Future film where they finally win against, was it like the Miami Sharks?
Oh wow!
If you remember that scene, yeah. Which reminds me, I think a friend of mine was working on that Michael J. Fox show, which isn't really doing well in the ratings.
Yeah, I saw a clip of it. It was not that good.
No, it's
right. But the thing is that NBC ordered was it 20-something episodes? They're really banking on this thing, and it's coming out, and they really thought that this was going to be like a huge profit for them, and it's like a major loss so far.
If they turned it into a drama, it would have been more relevant. I understand they're trying to go with the whole he was a comedic actor, and you got to rise above your affliction no matter how bad it is. And I get that, and that in itself is heartwarming, but at the same point, comedy relies on timing. And with someone who has Parkinson's, the timing they can't hit the marks timing-wise. It's just not going to happen.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I mean, and the only thing I could think that it could work in his favor, because when Family Ties came out, it was not a runaway success. It took time for it to build an audience. And the stroke of genius of the then president or vice president, Brandon Tartikoff, who was running NBC at that time, was putting it behind the juggernaut that was the Cosby Show. And that's when it gained steam. So what they would have to do is, if they have like a hot show, like for instance, say The Blacklist or something like that, but unfortunately that's a drama. They need the only thing I can think of is like Parks and Rec, which I think which currently now is on hiatus for whatever fucking reason. NBC is so fucked up. You know, they cancel the good shows and they try to pimp out the bad shows that nobody wants to see. You know what I mean? It's
on hiatus because they basically want to push other shows.
Wow.
That's basically the reason. Like, deep down, that's what's happening. They're putting that on hiatus because it's so successful. They want to push other shows in that time slot.
Yeah.
It's kind of dirty.
That is kind of interesting.
Like, to be honest with you, like, the only show that I actually liked watching from NBC was Community. And, you know, it's unfortunate in terms of, like, the drama that was going on behind the scenes, because I actually did like that show.
Always some drama going on NBC.
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't get it. Like, you know, put it this way, the drama that was going on CBS with 2.5 Men seemed like child's play.
That show, by the way, has kudos to them for staying alive, I guess, but they're at this point doing it by any means necessary.
Right, even without as big of a star as Charlie Sheen.
They now have a girl playing his daughter, quote unquote, a long lost daughter, but that has his same personality of Charlie Sheen.
Amber.
See you later.
Right.
But as far as the shows that are going on, Modern Family is still going strong.
Yeah, right. ABC has a really good comedy lineup, actually.
Oh yeah, I do watch the Goldbergs.
I haven't seen it yet. Is it good?
It's actually pretty. It's like the Wonder Years, but it's for people 80s babies. It's the Wonder Years for 80s babies.
That's awesome. I have a bunch of them recorded, and I haven't gotten a chance to watch it.
Have you ever seen Suburgatory?
I also like that show too.
That's funny. That's a funny show. That's
another show that I actually did watch, which they took off. Unfortunately.
Wait, is the Suburgatory's gone?
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think they renewed it, pal.
No, it was so good last season.
It was good. They have another one that I wanted to catch was Playing the Game or something like that with James Caan as like a deadbeat dad and his daughter, who's like divorced. She comes to live.
We spoke about it a few episodes ago, actually.
Right.
It got canceled already?
No. I wanted to check it out.
Oh, I haven't heard anything about it.
Right, but the Goldbergs is funny, and I miss Suburgatory.
Oh wow, yeah, that was such a well written show. That was really interesting comedy for a network TV show. That's probably what it is. You deviate too much from the formula, you're not going to hit that consistent rating that goes along with that formula.
Right. And then I still have yet to catch Super Fun Night, unfortunately.
Yeah, I've.
Oh, now you're changing.
I think I'm starting to see George's argument how he thinks it's funny that I would watch Super Fun Night every week, but not Breaking Bad.
Mm-hmm.
You got a pubic hair stuck in your throat.
No, just some bad television.
Stuck in your throat. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening to Shooting the Ish.
Yeah, it was a good show. Pleasure.
It was a good show. Yeah.
Working with you guys once again.
Boy. George.
Yes.
What? Brian Williams, let's do a quiz. Brian Williams, you do the wrap up. Where can you do the outro? Where can everyone go to find us on the internet?
They can go to shootingtheish@gmail.com. Is that it? Check it up on Facebook. Shooting the Ish. ISCH.
No C. There's no C. What's the matter with you? H. You ish head.
What?
Well, let's get this party started. Shit.
Okay, Brian, so we could go to a Facebook link that doesn't exist, and we could go to a Gmail.
I thought it was at gmail.com. No.
Yeah.
Just spell it right.
I got it right. I didn't spell it right, but I got the enunciation right. As opposed to you, Chris, with Francesca.
Francesca, Shooting the Ish. Shooting
Jessica,
the
my
Ish and Francesca, you guys are killing me.
Hey, Brian, where else? So we could go to Facebook and Gmail. Where else could we go to find the show?
Twitter.
Twitter.
Yeah, check. Yeah, man, check out the Twitter, man.
Shit.
Yeah,
All right, so
man.
we got a Facebook, we've got a Twitter, and we got a Gmail.
Hashtag Twitter. I mean,
Where could they go? Could they go to listen to the show if they wanted to listen to the show?
Go to our YouTube channel, Shooting the Ish.
Yeah,
Just
that's
type
one.
in shoot. Yeah.
There's two more.
And then,
We could go.
to hell.
Brian, are you aware that we do a podcast every week? Do you know
This is a podcast? I thought we were just shooting the ish.
All right, I'll give you a hint. It starts with www.
.shootingtheish.com.
Yes.
Oh, damn. Yeah, man, got that website, man.
And one other place.
Wait a minute. So I thought it was YouTube. We can go on the channel on YouTube, right?
Yes. Well, let's put it this way. Even though Steve Jobs is dead, his website is still around.
The MaxiPad? I mean, iTunes?
Yes.
iTunes.
It's kind of weird if you die, all your MySpace and Facebook and all these things that existed are still around.
So
maybe you just have to let them know, like inform them, like if you're a next of kin or something, and they deactivate your account or something like that.
I know. What if you don't have that?
Well, then you're.
It's your SOL, pal.
Wow.
But so quickly again, Brian, could you repeat where you can find us?
On iTunes.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to Shooting the Ish. If you rewind the show by about 2 to 3 minutes, you'll slowly hear all the places you could find us or connect with us. And thanks very much, and we will talk to you next week.
Take it easy, guys.
Be seeing you.
Wait, is this the start of that?
This is the end, mother.
It's over. It's over, guys. It is over, guys.
Ooh, that's a good one. All right.
I'm loving it.
Yeah,
I'm loving it. Oh, no.
All right, I'll see you guys next time.
Later.
All right.